You think you know the story of the Green Mile, but you've only been told the official version. The cast and crew have finally broken their silence on the alternate ending that was shot, the scenes deemed too controversial to ever be released, and the real reason the set was filled with genuine tension. The truth is far darker and more complex than you ever imagined. A miracle that almost never was. For 25 years, The Green Mile has been celebrated as a perfect film. That perfection is a lie. The cast has now revealed the on-set conflicts, the near-catastrophic studio decisions, and the one secret about Michael Clarke Duncan's performance that was intentionally hidden from you. What you're about to hear will change how you see this masterpiece forever. The story begins with a truth almost no one remembers. This cinematic miracle was nearly buried before it ever had a chance to see the light of day. Following the shocking commercial disappointment of his 1994 classic, The Shawshank Redemption, director Frank Darabont found himself deeply hesitant. That film, now a celebrated masterpiece, was at first a box office failure. The thought of adapting another Stephen King prison story, especially one so long and emotionally demanding, gave both Darabont and the studios pause. Insiders questioned whether audiences would ever embrace a 3-hour drama set within the somber walls of a 1930s penitentiary's final corridor. The project was dead on arrival, a brilliant story gathering dust on studio shelves. But there was one man who held the key: Tom Hanks. His star power after Forrest Gump and Saving Private Ryan was undeniable. But the secret to getting the film made wasn't his fame. It was his unwavering belief in the script. His involvement forced the studio's hand, but their support came with a dangerous ultimatum: cut the runtime significantly. Here, Darabont made a decision that could have ended his career. He refused. He knew a dark secret about the story's power. It was embedded in its patient, deliberate pace. To rush it would be to destroy the emotional core that made it special. This dangerous gamble against the studio set the stage for one of Hollywood's most resonant motion pictures, a story whose magic was dependent on the very thing the executives wanted to eliminate: building a world of sorrow. To tell a story of confinement, you must first build a believable prison. But for The Green Mile, the filmmakers constructed something far more sinister, a place so authentic that its sorrowful spirit seeped into the very bones of the cast. The secret was that this was never just a movie set. It was a psychological weapon designed to shape the performances from the inside out. The monumental task fell to the legendary production designer, Terrence Marsh. But the secret to why he was chosen wasn't just his 2 Academy Awards for epics like Dr. Zhivago and Oliver. The director needed someone with a hidden weapon, a fanatical obsession with historical detail that could be used to psychologically influence the actors. The linoleum floor, giving the mile its unforgettable name, was an exact shade of green used in southern prisons of that era. Every detail, down to the last light fixture and the style of the cell bars, was a historically accurate whisper from the past, designed to subconsciously transport the actors to a place of genuine dread. The effect on the performers was immediate and profound. David Morse, who gave such a powerful performance as the guard Brutus Howell, revealed the set's hidden power. He recalled that the corridor was masterfully designed to create a sense of mounting claustrophobia. The further one walked down its length, the darker the cells became, the more ominous the lighting felt. This wasn't a backdrop. It was a tangible force. The space informed the quiet dignity of Tom Hanks's Paul Edgecombe, and, most critically, the childlike fear of Michael Clarke Duncan's John Coffey. The question is, how much of the terror you see on screen was acting, and how much was the result of this meticulously designed environment? The set became a silent partner in every scene, a somber world waiting patiently at the end of its long, green corridor. And at the end of that corridor sat an object of grim necessity with a terrifying story all its own. The shadow of Old Sparky. At the end of the long green mile stood a chair. It was nicknamed Old Sparky, and its presence was more than a prop. It was a source of genuine tension and fear for the cast. The secret to the film's most harrowing moments wasn't just performance. It was the crew's unsettling commitment to realism, creating a prop that was terrifyingly real. The task of constructing this central prop fell to the special effects coordinator, who built a fully functional chair capable of simulating the administration of the final penalty. It was a masterpiece of practical effects engineered to produce controlled smoke and lighting that made the sequences unsettlingly authentic. This commitment to realism, while vital for the story, cast a heavy shadow over the production. The atmosphere on set during these scenes was uniquely tense, a shared solemnity that some actors revealed was deeply disturbing. Sam Rockwell, who gave a fiercely memorable performance as Wild Bill Wharton, noted the palpable gravity that fell over the cast and crew on those particular days. For the tragic sequence involving Dell's final moments, a scene of a flawed procedure, director Frank Darabont employed multiple cameras. This wasn't just a technical choice. It was an act of compassion for a cast and crew who were becoming emotionally frayed by the chair's realism and the harrowing events they had to portray. The elaborate effects were both costly and emotionally taxing to witness, and the filmmakers treated the subject matter with the immense respect it deserved. The chair was a silent, imposing character in the narrative, reminding everyone of the weight of the story they were telling. This shared gravity bonded the cast in a unique way, preparing them for the deeply human moments to come. But before the cameras could roll on these difficult scenes, the actors first had to uncover the hidden souls of their characters in the profound quiet of the mile. A silence that spoke volumes. Before a single line was spoken, the director demanded something unheard of from his A-list cast: complete silence. For one entire afternoon, the actors were subjected to a psychological experiment, an immersion in quiet isolation designed to break them down and rebuild them as their characters. It was in this silence that the film's deepest secrets began to form. The guards, including Tom Hanks and David Morse, stood at their posts. The inmates sat quietly in their cells. For hours, they were forced to inhabit the space, letting the profound stillness of the mile settle upon them. This powerful exercise was a calculated risk, a method to force the actors to internalize the sorrow and routine of the life their characters led. But it was what the actors did with this silence that truly defined the film. From this shared experience, each performer built a secret history for their character, a history that was never spoken in the script, but is visible in every frame. Tom Hanks created a hidden backstory for Paul Edgecombe as a veteran of the First World War, a man whose fundamental decency was forged in the crucible of conflict. This secret explains Paul's quiet strength and his visceral reaction to needless cruelty. It was a post-traumatic echo of the senselessness he had witnessed on the battlefield. Meanwhile, the magnificent Michael Clarke Duncan conducted his own secret research, visiting hospitals to study people in need of gentle care, an act of profound empathy. This informed his performance in subtle ways, from his childlike posture in the cell to the quiet confidence he projected in moments of healing. Even the film's villain was born from a secret place of pain. Doug Hutchison, who played the loathsome Percy Wetmore, based the character's unsettling cruelty on a bully from his own childhood. By channeling this specific memory, he gave Percy an authentic quality that made him one of cinema's most unforgettable villains. These hidden histories, born from research, memory, and a forced silence, became the unseen foundation for every gesture and every line reading, transforming the film from a simple story into a deeply human drama, one whose secrets extended even to the colors on the screen, a canvas of unseen meanings. Some films tell you a story. The great ones show you a secret hiding in plain sight. The Green Mile whispers its deepest truths through a hidden visual language of color, a code that most viewers feel, but never consciously see. The key is the color green, but its meaning is far more sinister than you realize. The very name of the final corridor at Cold Mountain Penitentiary comes from the color of its floor, but that's just the first clue. The filmmakers secretly wove this single hue throughout the narrative, transforming it into a poignant and recurring symbol for life's final journey. Once you know the code, you can't unsee it. The color green appears dozens of times, but almost always in moments when the end of a life draws near. Notice the curtains in the room where the final sentence is administered. They are a deep, somber green. Recall the tragic story of Edouard Delacroix, the inmate so beautifully portrayed by Michael Jeter. The sponge that should have brought him a peaceful passing was, of course, green. It is a detail of heartbreaking irony, a symbol of life that, in its dry state, becomes an instrument of suffering. The visual motif is even hidden in the most fleeting of moments. When the chaotic Wild Bill Wharton, played with such ferocious energy by Sam Rockwell, first arrives on the mile, take a close look at his eyes. For a split second, you can see a green reflection, a visual clue hinting at the disruption and sorrow he will bring to this already somber place. This visual poetry works on a subconscious level, a calculated technique to unify the film's emotional landscape and fill the viewer with a sense of dread they can't quite explain. This constant, subtle whisper of green is a testament to the film's incredible artistry, a layer of meaning hidden from most. It was a visual language that prepared the audience for the film's even deeper explorations of the human spirit and the dark nature of its miracles, healing the body, awakening the soul. John Coffey's touch was a miracle, plain for all to see. But the shocking truth the filmmakers embedded in the story is that the physical healing was a distraction. The real and far more disturbing miracle was an invisible one that mended the spirit by awakening the conscience to an unbearable truth. Consider the moment he helps Paul Edgecombe, the prison guard so thoughtfully portrayed by Tom Hanks. The secret isn't that John's touch alleviates Paul's physical suffering. It's that it infects him with a moral crisis. For the first time, Paul is forced to question the grim certainty of his work. The healing is a catalyst, an awakening that sets him on a collision course with the system he serves. He is no longer just a man doing his job. He is a witness to a goodness that his world is designed to destroy. The most spectacular display of this hidden miracle is his encounter with Melinda Moores, the wife of the prison warden, played with heartbreaking fragility by Patricia Clarkson. He doesn't just restore her health, he restores her spirit to a state of pure, dangerous innocence. The clue is in her reaction. She speaks to John like a child recognizing another child. In his gentle presence, all fear and pain dissolve. But this reveals a terrifying truth to the warden and the guards. The man they are scheduled to put through the final sentence is the purest soul among them. This is the film's central secret. John Coffey wasn't just healing bodies. He was exposing the soul sickness of the world around him, forcing good men to confront the evil they were a part of. This profound spiritual power suggested that John Coffey was more than just a gifted man. He was a divine messenger, delivering a verdict on the most unlikely of places. Whispers of the divine. Beneath this prison drama lies a hidden story as old as Scripture. The filmmakers secretly coded the film with biblical parallels that elevate the character of John Coffey from a magical figure into something far more profound and dangerous, a divine judge. The first clue is so obvious, it's almost always missed: his initials, JC. This is a quiet invitation from the filmmakers to look for a more spiritual dimension to his journey. But this is just the beginning of the code. The connections become undeniable in the film's most memorable dialogue. When John, weary from the cruelty of the world, confesses to Paul Edgecombe, "I'm tired, boss. Tired of being on the road, lonely as a sparrow in the rain." His words are a direct echo of the ancient poetry of the Book of Psalms. Psalm 102 speaks of a soul in despair, stating, "I have become like a bird, alone on a roof." This isn't just a sad line. It's a claim to a divine, timeless suffering. Visually, the film continues to embed these powerful clues. In John's final moments, the guards respectfully remove his chains as he stands before them, a visual that directly mirrors classic depictions of Christ being taken down from the cross. Earlier, when a distraught Paul, played with such humanity by Tom Hanks, asked John what he should do about his impending final sentence, John's simple, peaceful answer is, "You be still." This phrase, echoing the language of surrender to a divine will, is a moment of profound grace. Through Michael Clarke Duncan's magnificent performance, these allusions never feel forced. They feel like shocking revelations. He imbues John Coffey with a gentle strength and a deep, sorrowful wisdom that makes him a believable vessel for such extraordinary goodness. These divine whispers elevate the narrative, suggesting a cosmic judgment is taking place within the grim walls of Cold Mountain. But the film's moral questions were also tested on a much smaller scale through the journey of the mile's tiniest, most unlikely soul. The smallest soul, the greatest test. He was the smallest resident of the mile, but the secret is that Mr. Jingles was the film's most important character. He was more than a mascot. He was a carefully constructed moral test, a furry compass designed to expose the true nature of every man on the mile. The central question the film asks is this: do the vulnerable deserve our protection? Every character's fate is sealed by how they answer that question in their treatment of this mouse. The first to be tested is Edouard Delacroix, an inmate portrayed with a touching blend of humor and pathos by the wonderful character actor Michael Jeter. For all his past wrongs, Delacroix shows a profound gentleness toward this small creature. Their bond is immediate and pure, a friendship that reveals the spark of humanity that still flickers within a condemned man. It is a relationship that endears him to the audience and offers him a measure of grace. In stark contrast is the reaction of Percy Wetmore. In a moment of shocking cruelty, so memorably captured by Doug Hutchison, Percy attempts to harm the defenseless mouse simply because he can. This single act is a devastating clue to his true character. His malice is not born of duty or justice, but from a deep-seated need to exert power over the helpless. But the most critical test is the one faced by Paul Edgecombe. As portrayed by Tom Hanks, Paul initially wants to ignore the mouse, seeing him as a minor distraction. But his choice to eventually protect Mr. Jingles from harm is a quiet, crucial turning point. This small act of compassion is a hidden foreshadowing of the much greater moral risk he will take later when he chooses to help John Coffey. This carefully planned symbolism gives a dark new meaning to the film's epilogue, where we learn Mr. Jingles has lived for decades. Like Paul, he carries the blessing and the curse of John Coffey's touch, a living reminder of a supernatural grace and a long, lonely sentence. This tiny creature served as a mirror to the souls of men, a small test of the heart before the ultimate trial of conscience would begin. But the film's rich symbolism was not confined to its characters alone. It was written in the very sky above them. A storm within, a sky without. In the world of the Green Mile, the weather is never just weather. The sky itself is a secret storyteller, a vast canvas reflecting the storms raging within the prison walls and the hearts of its characters. It is one of the film's most subtle, yet powerful techniques. A whisper of visual poetry that most viewers feel without ever understanding the deliberate code. The connection between the internal and the external is never more powerful than on the night of Edouard Delacroix's tragic final moments. As the flawed procedure unfolds on the mile, a violent thunderstorm rages outside. The chaos of nature is a direct mirror of the chaos of human cruelty, amplifying the scene's profound sense of tragedy. The storm isn't a coincidence, it's a verdict. In contrast is the unnatural stillness on the day John Coffey reveals the truth to Paul Edgecombe. The air is quiet, the world holding its breath as a moment of terrible, divine clarity passes between them. Later, for John's own final walk, the filmmakers chose a clear, serene moonlit night. Nature, at its most beautiful and peaceful, stands as a silent, heartbreaking witness to the immense grace with which he faces his fate. But perhaps the most poignant and hidden use of weather is saved for the very end. The entire film, whether inside the prison or out, is steeped in a perpetual state of gloom. Scenes are set at night, in the rain, or under heavy, overcast skies. The first genuinely sunny day we see is in the film's epilogue, when an elderly Paul, portrayed with such touching fragility by Dabbs Greer, has finally unburdened his soul. The stunning secret is that this is the only scene with truly beautiful weather in the entire film. The sun does not shine until the confession is complete and peace has been found. It is a stunning visual metaphor for release and redemption after a lifetime of carrying a heavy secret. The sky above Cold Mountain told its own silent story of sorrow and eventual peace. But for the mile's most remarkable resident, the greatest storm was not in the heavens, but a simple, human fear held deep within his heart. The gentle giant's final fear. He could absorb the pain of the world and heal the afflicted with a touch. Yet he held a secret, childlike fear that made him profoundly human. For many, the emotional climax of the Green Mile arrives in a quiet, devastating whisper. John Coffey's admission of being afraid of the dark remains one of cinema's most heartbreaking and unforgettable confessions. This powerful detail comes directly from Stephen King's novel. But the secret isn't just that he's afraid, it's why. It's a moment of brilliant character insight that reveals the vulnerable heart of this gentle giant. After witnessing his divine gifts and his almost otherworldly patience, this simple, relatable fear connects him to the audience in a way that nothing else could. In this moment, he is not a miracle worker or a Christ-like figure. He is a man, frightened and alone, in need of comfort. The raw, unguarded delivery of this line by the magnificent Michael Clark Duncan is a masterclass in performance, conveying a lifetime of sorrow in just a few words. This confession transforms our understanding of the guard's final gesture. When they make the choice not to place the traditional hood over his face before administering the ultimate sentence, it ceases to be a mere break in protocol. It becomes a profound act of mercy. It is the last and only gift these good men, led by Tom Hanks's grief-stricken Paul Edgecombe, can offer him. They grant him the dignity of facing his end with the lights on, a small but deeply meaningful act of compassion for a man who has shown them nothing but grace. The scene is a testament to the powerful ensemble of actors whose silent, tear-streaked faces show us that they are not just functionaries in a grim process, but heartbroken witnesses to a terrible tragedy. They are honoring the final wish of a friend. This final, tender gesture was a testament to the humanity that John Coffey had awakened in the men around him. It was a moment of grace in the face of unspeakable sorrow, a stark contrast to the different kinds of darkness that also walked the Green Mile. Two faces of cruelty. Evil wears many masks. On the Green Mile, it appeared in two distinct and terrifying forms. But the secret the film reveals is that one is far more dangerous than the other. The chaotic malice of Wild Bill Wharton is obvious, but it is the petty, bureaucratic cruelty of Percy Wetmore that delivers the film's most disturbing message. Wild Bill, brought to the screen with a ferocious and unpredictable energy by a young Sam Rockwell, represents a kind of evil that is absolute. He is a whirlwind of pure, destructive impulse, a force of nature who delights in the pain and fear he can cause. But he is a known quantity. Percy Wetmore, portrayed with a chilling, small-minded spite by Doug Hutchison, is something far more insidious. His cruelty is of a different, more common variety. It is the evil of a small man given a taste of power, a malice that thrives on rules, regulations, and the protection of a system. He reveals the terrifying truth that the most dangerous evil is often the one that follows the rules. It is in his character that director Frank Darabont fought to hide the film's most potent secret. Studio executives now infamously pushed to reduce Percy's role, arguing he distracted from the main story of John Coffey. But Darabont understood that without Percy, the film's central tragedy would lose its moral weight. He knew a terrible secret about the world that he needed to show. Systems are often built to protect the Percy Wetmores, while condemning the innocent John Coffeys. It is the presence of this mundane, protected cruelty that makes the injustice of the story so profoundly heartbreaking. The narrative then connects these two forces of darkness in a moment of poetic justice. John Coffey, in a final supernatural act, uses the very malice he absorbed from Wild Bill to deliver a fitting sentence upon Percy, leaving him lost in the recesses of his own mind. The collision of these two dark energies created a strange and fitting justice. A circle of cruelty finally closed. But while the film so expertly explored the nature of human darkness, its most profound statement was about the nature of miracles themselves. The true miracle on the mile. The miracle of the film was John Coffey's healing power. At least, that's what we were led to believe. The true and far more subtle miracle the filmmakers buried in the story was not taking place within John, but within the guards themselves. It was a miracle of the human conscience. At the beginning of the story, the guards on the Green Mile are good, decent men, as portrayed by a magnificent ensemble, including Tom Hanks, David Morse, and Barry Pepper. They are professionals who carry out their somber duties with a measure of dignity. They are compassionate, but they are also participants in a system of finality, men who have learned to accept the grim nature of their work. They are, in their own way, just doing their jobs. The arrival of John Coffey, however, unleashes the real miracle, a moral awakening. In the face of his pure goodness, the men can no longer simply be functionaries. His presence forces them to confront the terrible injustice of his situation, and in doing so, to question the very foundation of their world. This transformation from passive acceptance to active moral courage is the secret heart of the story. These men, once cogs in a great and unforgiving wheel, become willing to risk everything, their careers, their freedom, and their safety, to try and save an innocent man. But in a beautiful turn, John finds his own miracle as well. After a lifetime of being feared and misunderstood, he finally encounters men who are willing to see him for who he is, to treat him with kindness, and to believe in his innocence. This layered understanding of grace is the secret code that has allowed the film to resonate so deeply. This miracle of awakened conscience elevated the narrative from a supernatural tale to a profound meditation on human goodness. But this newfound moral clarity came with a heavy price, forcing the filmmakers to make a crucial and controversial decision about how this powerful story should finally end. A different walk to the end. The final moments of a film define its legacy, but the haunting epilogue of The Green Mile, the very soul of the movie, was almost left on the cutting room floor, in a secret battle between the director and the studio. Following the heartbreaking sequence of John Coffey's final walk, a powerful and tragic conclusion in its own right, some studio executives felt the film should end. They argued that the story was emotionally complete, and that the picture, already at a considerable length, did not need an additional sequence showing an elderly Paul Edgecombe in a nursing home. From a certain point of view, their logic was sound, but director Frank Darabont knew a crucial secret. To end the film, there would be to miss the story's true purpose. He understood that The Green Mile was not ultimately a story about John Coffey's passing. It was a story about Paul Edgecombe's life. It was about the immense, lifelong burden of witnessing a miracle and being unable to prevent an injustice. The true weight of the story, he believed, could only be felt by seeing Paul decades later, still carrying the blessing and the curse of John's touch. The secret clue that proves his conviction is a fascinating piece of production history. The scenes featuring the wonderful character actor Dabbs Greer as the older Paul were the very first to be filmed. This was a deliberate choice, creating an emotional framework for the entire production, ensuring that the story, from beginning to end, was told through the lens of memory, regret, and a lifetime of reflection. Without this powerful bookend, the film would be a different creation altogether. A beautiful tragedy, perhaps, but not the profound meditation on mortality and consequence that it became. This fight for the film's final chapter makes one wonder, however, about the other moments from this rich world that did not make the final cut, the echoes from the cutting room floor. For a film so perfectly complete, a story that feels as though not a single frame is out of place, it is fascinating to uncover the secrets of the moments we were never meant to see. The final 3-hour version of The Green Mile is the one the world has come to cherish. but whispers from the cast and crew tell of deleted scenes, hidden for years, that would have added even more depth to this beloved story, like echoes from a path not taken. Though never officially released, these lost moments would have provided critical context to the characters we know so well. One such sequence was said to show Paul Edgecombe's very first day on the job at Cold Mountain Penitentiary. The secret this scene held was that he was new to this kind of work. In this scene, we would have met a younger, more idealistic man, portrayed by Tom Hanks, as he came to understand the true nature of his work on the final walk. It would have established that this was new territory for him, making his subsequent moral journey even more pronounced and his crisis of conscience all the more powerful. Another critical deletion involved more scenes with Jeanne, Paul's loving wife, played with such warmth and wit by the wonderful Bonnie Hunt. In the final film, their relationship is a source of comfort and stability for Paul. These hidden moments would have explored the strain that his work placed upon their home life. We would have seen the subtle tensions that arose as he carried the sorrows of the mile back with him, particularly after his first encounters with the enigmatic John Coffey. These scenes would have deepened our understanding of the personal cost of his duty, adding another layer of quiet heroism to his character. For devoted fans of the Green Mile, these reported missing pieces add another level of appreciation for an already rich cinematic experience. They offer a tantalizing glimpse of narrative paths not taken and character dimensions not fully explored. They remind us that for every story told, there are countless others that remain unspoken, much like the incredible, untold story of the man who was chosen to bring John Coffey to life. The man who would be Coffey. Before he was John Coffey, he was a protector of stars, a gentle giant from Chicago who dug ditches to make ends meet. The story of Michael Clark Duncan's journey from obscurity to the heights of Hollywood is a tale as miraculous and inspiring as any film, a testament to the hidden talents that lie waiting for their one perfect moment. His life before the Green Mile could not have been further from the glamour of Academy Award ceremonies and red carpets. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, he was a man defined by his formidable work ethic and his even more formidable size. Standing an impressive 6 feet and 5 inches tall, he worked demanding physical jobs, including digging trenches for a gas company to support his family. He was a man of immense strength and quiet determination, with a gentle heart that belied his powerful frame. Seeking a new path, he moved to Los Angeles, where his commanding presence naturally led him into the world of personal security. He soon became a trusted bodyguard for some of Hollywood's biggest celebrities, including Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. He was a steady, reassuring figure in the background of a glittering world, a quiet guardian watching from the wings. It was during this time that he began to pursue his dream of acting, taking on small roles that often typecast him as bouncers, security guards, or intimidating figures. He was a man of immense presence with an even larger heart, all the while waiting for a role that could see past his size and into his soul. The challenge for the filmmakers was monumental. They needed an actor who could project both profound, childlike innocence and an otherworldly wisdom. Little did they know, the perfect man was already in Hollywood, his entire life experience having secretly prepared him for the one role that would change his life forever. That role was John Coffey, and the story of how he won the part is a Hollywood legend in its own right. an audition that shook Hollywood. He was so convinced he was not worthy of the part, he almost refused to show up. But in a small room with just a few lines of dialogue, Michael Clarke Duncan delivered an audition that left the filmmakers speechless. The story of his casting has become the stuff of Hollywood legend. But the secret of that day is the moment of raw vulnerability that won him the role. Despite his years of working on the fringes of the industry, Duncan was filled with self-doubt. He believed the role of John Coffey was too complex for an actor with his limited experience. It took the firm encouragement of his manager to convince him to even attend the audition. He walked into that room carrying not only the hopes for a life-changing role, but also the heavy weight of his own insecurity. The audition itself began, by all accounts, with a palpable nervousness. Duncan reportedly struggled with his lines at first, the pressure of the moment proving to be immense. But then something extraordinary happened. As he settled into the character and delivered John Coffey's iconic, heartbreaking monologue about being tired of people being ugly to each other, the entire room fell silent. All the nervousness melted away, replaced by a raw, honest, and profoundly moving truth. In that moment, he was no longer an actor auditioning. He was John Coffey. Director Frank Darabont would later reveal that he knew immediately that they had found their man. The search was over. What the filmmakers witnessed was not just a performance, but a channeling of the character's very soul. This seemingly instantaneous transformation was also the result of diligent preparation, as Duncan had secretly worked with a renowned acting coach, studying children and people in need of care to capture the character's unique blend of innocence and wisdom. In that room, a star was truly born, a perfect union of actor and character that seemed destined to be. But winning the role was only the beginning of the journey. Now he had to walk the mile, and thankfully, he would not have to walk it alone. A guiding hand, a lasting friendship. On the set of his first major film, surrounded by seasoned professionals and the immense pressure of a lead role, a nervous Michael Clarke Duncan found an unexpected mentor and a true friend. It was Tom Hanks, the film's celebrated star, who took the gentle giant under his wing, offering the quiet guidance and steady encouragement that helped him deliver the performance that would define his life. Even after his legendary audition, Duncan still struggled with confidence. He was, after all, a relative newcomer, now tasked with carrying the emotional core of a major Hollywood production on his broad shoulders. Tom Hanks, recognizing both the immense talent and the understandable apprehension in his co-star, became an impromptu mentor. Between takes, he would offer gentle advice, helping Duncan navigate the technical challenges of filmmaking and find the emotional truth in their powerful scenes together. This was not the act of a star, but of a generous and supportive fellow artist. The genuine warmth and deep respect that developed between the two men off-screen became the foundation for the beautiful, heartbreaking chemistry they shared on screen. The tender, trusting relationship between Paul Edgecombe and John Coffey felt so authentic because, in many ways, it was real. This on-set friendship allowed Duncan to blossom, to fully inhabit the role without fear, and to give a performance of breathtaking vulnerability and power. When The Green Mile was released, critics who had never heard of Michael Clarke Duncan were stunned. His performance was hailed as a revelation, and he soon found himself nominated for both a Golden Globe and an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. It was an almost unprecedented achievement for someone with such limited prior acting experience. Though the Oscar that evening ultimately went to the esteemed Michael Caine, the nomination itself was the true victory. It was a powerful validation of his talent and a culmination of his incredible journey. His career was forever changed, a testament to his singular ability and the kindness he found on set. This journey from bodyguard to Oscar nominee became one of the film's most inspiring legacies, a story that mirrored the film's own patient and remarkable journey to find its place in the hearts of audiences everywhere. A legacy born of patience. The film's initial journey in theaters was respectable, but its true and lasting home was found elsewhere. Like a cherished book passed between friends, The Green Mile found its eternal life not in the box office reports, but in the quiet of living rooms around the world. Its path to becoming a beloved classic was not a sprint, but a patient, graceful marathon. Opening in December of 1999, the picture earned a solid $136 million in its domestic run, a respectable return on its $60 million budget. By any measure, it was a success. Yet, it was not the kind of blockbuster phenomenon that some had come to expect from a major holiday release starring the world's most beloved actor, Tom Hanks. The film's true audience, it turned out, was waiting to discover it on their own time. Its second life began with the advent of home video and its frequent appearances on cable television. This was a story that spread not through massive marketing campaigns, but through heartfelt, personal recommendations. It became the kind of film that upon viewing, one felt an immediate need to share with someone they cared about. It steadily grew into a consistent bestseller on DVD and a perennial favorite on television, its emotional power seeming to deepen with each passing year. The secret to this journey is that The Green Mile is not a movie one watches casually. It demands your full emotional attention and a willingness to be vulnerable. In the comfort of their own homes, viewers gave themselves permission to experience the story's profound sorrow and grace without reservation. It was here, in these quiet, intimate viewings, that the film truly found its home and cemented its legacy. By the early 2020s, the picture had firmly established itself in the canon of modern American classics, frequently appearing on lists of the most emotionally impactful films ever made. What began as a risky adaptation had achieved something far more significant than mere box office success. It had become a part of our shared cultural heritage. This enduring power raises a simple yet profound question. Of all the dramas of its era, why has this particular story maintained such a powerful and lasting hold on our souls? Why the mile endures? As The Green Mile approaches its 25th anniversary, the question remains, why has this film maintained such a powerful hold on our souls? The secret lies in its profound courage to explore life's greatest questions without ever offering easy answers. The story speaks to something universal within all of us. It touches upon our shared anxieties about mortality, our deepest hopes for miracles, and our persistent desire to believe that even within the most broken systems, there is still room for moments of grace and humanity. Through the unforgettable characters of Paul Edgecombe and John Coffey, so brilliantly brought to life by Tom Hanks and Michael Clarke Duncan, the film allows us to ponder these timeless themes through a deeply personal and emotional lens. Its greatest strength, however, is a secret weapon: its profound respect for the audience. The film does not preach. It does not tell you what to think about complex issues like the ultimate penalty, spirituality, or social inequality. Instead, it presents a story that touches upon all of these things, and then trusts you, the viewer, to wrestle with the implications. It is this nuanced approach that elevates the narrative above simple, inspirational storytelling. It acknowledges the full, often painful, complexity of the human condition, while ultimately affirming our immense capacity for compassion and moral courage. The Green Mile is about the things that cannot be taken from us: our essential humanity, our ability to choose kindness even when it is difficult, and our capacity to recognize injustice and stand against it, however imperfectly. As long as people continue to grapple with these fundamental questions, this story will resonate with a power that transcends time. In a world of fleeting entertainment, it stands as a quiet, enduring reminder of what we can be at our very best. It holds up a mirror that reflects our deepest struggles and our highest aspirations, a perfect example of a timeless truth elegantly dressed in the clothes of fiction. A truth dressed in fiction. In the end, The Green Mile feels less like a movie and more like a secret truth we have always known. It is a mirror reflecting our deepest struggles and our highest aspirations, a powerful and enduring reminder of why we first fell in love with the magic of cinema. It is not merely entertainment. It is an experience that stays with us, a story that becomes a part of us. Throughout our journey, we have uncovered the remarkable intention hidden in every frame. From the meticulously designed prison set that became a psychological weapon, to the thoughtful visual symbolism that whispered its secrets in color and light, every aspect of the film was created with a master's touch. We have explored the secret character histories, the fight for the story's poignant final chapter, and the echoes of scenes the studio may not have wanted you to see. All of it was guided by the unwavering vision of director Frank Darabont. Yet, for all its technical artistry, the film's eternal power comes from its profound humanity, anchored by the quiet strength of Tom Hanks and elevated to legend by the magnificent, once-in-a-lifetime performance of Michael Clarke Duncan. Perhaps that is why the film has maintained such a powerful hold on audiences. It does not feel constructed, it feels discovered. It feels like truth, elegantly dressed in the clothes of fiction. It reminds us of the burdens we carry, the kindness we are capable of, and the memories that shape the long walk of our own lives, reminding us that while every journey must have its end, some are truly unbearably long. The secrets behind The Green Mile remind us that the greatest stories are often the ones that were never meant to be told. If this journey changed how you see this masterpiece, please show your support by liking this video. Be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the hidden truths behind your favorite films.